let's answer some FAQs about basic nutrition facts when you're on a GLP-1. And you really do need to pay attention because you're likely going to be eating a lot less and you don't want to become nutrient deficient. So first of all, how many calories do you need a day? So the minimum is about 1,500 calories. Now, if your doctor recommends something different, go with what he or she says. But for most women, you're going to need a minimum amount because you don't want to malnourished, which can actually happen. And then you're going to have some really bad side effects like your hair falling out and stuff like that. So we don't want that. So you don't necessarily have to count calories. I personally don't count calories. The only macronutrient you might want to count is your grams of protein, because you're really going to want to shoot for about 85 to 135 grams of protein. Now, this is specific for women. I'm not talking about men. And of course, this is always going to vary depending on where your weight is now, how active you are, your age, things like that. So this is really just general information. So you may also want to keep track of your fiber, not so much counting the grams, but just making sure you're getting fiber at every meal. And that's going to help counteract any of the digestive slowdown that you're going to be experiencing while you're on a GLP-1 weight loss medication. And I just want to mention again about the minimum calories. In a way, you don't have to worry as much about counting calories to make sure you're not overeating, because your appetite is really going to be suppressed while you're on the medication. Now, another thing you might have heard about is carbs. And I've heard a lot of misinformation like about carbs and GLP-1s don't mix. And I think that nothing could be further from the truth. That person may have been talking about refined carbs like breads, cookies, crackers, things like that. And in general, on a whole food, real food diet, where you're really talking about getting a lot of nutrition, you are going to want to avoid refined carbs. But as far as carbohydrates from real food sources like potatoes, sweet potatoes, vegetables, fruits, you want to make sure you are eating carbs in moderation, and that's going to help balance the protein. It's also going to help make sure you're getting a lot of antioxidants and fiber and just really important nutrition in your diet. So if you've previously been on a low carb diet, you may not, need to do that anymore. So like keto, low carb, these kinds of diets can actually cause low blood sugar, because when you're on a GLP-1, your blood sugar is going to be lower. And so then if you're also restricting carbs, you could start really feeling fatigued and maybe even lightheaded. If I could tell you one of my favorite nutritionist hacks, that is eating berries, because berries are low in natural sugar. They're really high in fiber. They're just full of nutrition and all kinds of good things for us. So ask your questions below, and then I'll see you in the next video.